Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, your daily fix of football chat on STV. The main talking points tonight: there are two all-premiership ties in the fourth round draw of the William Hill Scottish Cup. Hearts are at home to Aberdeen in possibly the tie of the round. We'll bring you the full draw in the next couple of minutes. Inverness fans are more than happy. John Hughes has signed a new contract until 2018. Down south, Paul Sturrock has been sacked as the manager of Yeovil Town. It's Rangers against Dumbarton tonight, and we'll also be talking to the Motherwell manager, Mark McGhee. I'm delighted to say he is our boot-room guest alongside Alan Rough tonight. So lots to get our teeth into. So let's start first of all with the fourth round draw. We'll talk about those two premiership ties in a moment, but here is the draw in its entirety, and I think one of your backroom staff will be facing a trek, Mark McGhee, to check out the skills of Formerton, who've still got a third round tie to get through with Cove Rangers. One of those two teams will be playing you happily at Fir Park.
I think we're always pleased if it's a home draw, regardless of who you play. It's a little bit of an advantage. I think at this stage we're happy that we're not like two of the other ties, four Premier League clubs coming up against each other. I think it's best avoiding that at this moment. So all in all, I think we have to be satisfied. Yeah,
and as far as we are aware, Roughie, we've talked about it on a number of occasions. Formerton themselves have ploughed quite a few quid into their team.
Yeah, and so have Cove Rangers as well. Cove Rangers have been in the up for a while. They've been trying to get into the senior league for a while as well, and they're not far away from it. So both teams will be, now that they know who they're going to get in the next round, it'll be a fabulous tie for them up there.
Yeah, it's a no-win situation for you, Mark. Do you just expect it to win that one?
Yeah, but we won't just expect to win it. You know, we'll know that we'll have to turn up in the day and, you know, play as well as we possibly can, and expect them to play as well as they possibly can. And if both teams do that, then we might win the game. But we certainly won't take anything for granted. We'll approach it the way you would approach any tie, and the Scottish Cup is really important to us, really important to me. So, you know, we won't treat them lightly. We'll do all our due diligence in preparation, and we'll approach the game well.
Is it important to you financially, or is it because you place a pressure on yourself to try and get some kind of silverware for Motherwell, which would be great to land?
I think, you know, our priority is to make sure we get out of the position we're in the league. But I think at the same time we have to think about the cups. You know, in recent seasons, a lot of teams out of the lesser fancy teams have got to cup finals. You know, so we've got to think that maybe we'll have a chance. So I think we can consider the Scottish Cup as an important competition where we would have a chance of maybe advancing to the latter stages.
Now, got to ask you, how are you enjoying it second time around?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. You know, going in every day is really fantastic. You know, I've inherited a good group of players. I'm pleased with that. I've got some very good young players coming through. The club hasn't changed that much. The owners are now very focused on making sure that the long-term survival of the club is priority in this modern time when, you know, finances are squeezed. We have a guy who's, you know, backing it, as he says, giving us a hand up and not a hand out. So there's a job to be done, but, you know, it's fantastic to be back.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Mark, you've touched on being where you are in the league. If you were to move out of that place you're in the league, would that give you a chance to maybe play some more of the younger boys?
I think I'll be playing some of the younger boys anyway, you know, because I think that if they're good enough, you know, they're old enough, and we have one or two who I think are getting close to it. We've got some work to do with a few of them, you know, to be sure that we can risk putting them in, but we're not far away with a few of them. So, you know, I'm pleased with that. Some of the ones that are in the team are young boys anyway. You know, we have a couple of players in you know, the team already who are only in their early 20s, and, you know, they're among the best in the team.
You'll know some of the old heads who are there from your previous time around, but we were singing the praises of Marvin Johnson. When he's on his game, he can be a real handful on that left side.
Marvin Johnson's one of these young players I'm talking about. You know, I can't talk highly enough of Marvin. You know, I think that if I can get him consistent, then we have a fabulous player. You know, a really, really terrific player. The older players, of course, you know, we need to back that up. We've got Keith Lasley and Scott McDonald and Stephen McManus, Stevie Hamill. These players are really important to me, you know, because they're the ones that, you know, bring a bit of calmness and experience to it and give the likes of Marvin the opportunity to really show what he can do. He certainly did on Saturday, and I hope now that he's going to really blossom.
Yeah, one of the downsides for Roughie and myself though, Mark, is, you know, sometimes when you sent us a tweet and you had to go out to Barbados, when the photographs came over, we just ditched you on our phones because we didn't want to see you out there talking to Les in Barbados. I mean, it must have been a grind going out there to talk about the future of the club.
Yeah, well, I think somebody's got to do it. But, you know, listen, I had no complaints about that trip whatsoever. Someone actually did steal my phone while I was out there, but I had really constructive, you know, time out there with Les, getting to know him a wee bit, really getting to know what he's wanting from me and what he wants from the club and what he expects. You know, and I've come back with a very clear picture of what my job is, what my brief is, and you know, I'm getting on with it. You know, so it's slightly different emphasis than the last time I was here, when really my job was to win as many first team matches as I could. Of course, that still applies. The fans expect that, you know, but there's another job running parallel to that, and that is about the longer term survival of the football club.
Yeah, well, here's a fan's question then. They want to know, did Les say to you, hey, January, if, you know, you want certain players, can you get them?
I think not as straightforward as that. I think that, you know, we have quite a big squad as it is, and I think if I want to make changes to the squad, that will involve a little bit of coming and going, as well as, you know, going out and get other players. So I won't be going out and adding 3 or 4 players to the players already existing, but if I can swap some of it around, I may do that. But equally, you know, I think on Saturday we had a team and a squad that played exceptionally well and showed that they should be able to win games in this division. So, you know, if we can get them playing consistently, then there might not be any need to panic and run out and get too many players.
Is there any choice of country for your next meeting?
I'd be quite happy to go back to the Green Monkey. I enjoyed it, and I'll go back there as soon as I'm asked.
Yeah, I've got to ask you though, do you feel with the squad you've got, whether you make signings or not in January, whether you duck and dive in the transfer market, do you feel that Motherwell can avoid what happened last season? Because time and time again last year we're listening to players say, yes, we can get out of it, yes, we're good enough, we've got the players, the players with injuries are coming back. What's your take on it now?
Well, I think that, you know, players and management are always going to say that. You know, it'd be ludicrous to say anything else. So if you ask the question, that's the answer they're going to give you. You know, and I'll do the same. Yeah. We showed on Saturday, I think, you know, that's a better answer. You know, a clearer answer that we're capable of good performances. A week earlier, we had Hamill, Lasley and McManus all missing, and we showed that we're not the same animal without those experienced players. So, you know, we need those players to be fit. We need Marvin to be fit. We need Lionel and Louis Moult and all these young players with the energy to be fit to give us the best possible chance. And if they are, then yeah, I think my answer to your question is yes, we can get out of this. Yeah,
and this festive period coming up, you're obviously away to Partick Thistle, but I was looking at it: Dundee, Celtic, Dundee United, then St Johnstone. It could be, you know, the perfect platform in 3 or 4 of those games for you.
Well, I mean, every game is winnable for us and losable, I think, for everyone in the league. I saw Dundee play St Johnstone on Friday night, and there were 2 really good teams, well organised, competitive, a bit of a mixture of, you know, good defence, strong defence, and a little bit of football, and, you know, dangerous players up front. So, you know, every team's got to be taken seriously. I don't think we can consider ourselves favourites against anyone. Certainly at the moment. So, you know, we just have to prepare for each game as if it's going to be the hardest game of the season and try and give our best performance of the season. If we do that, we'll win some of the games.
Now, I've got to ask you guys, of the draw, as we have a look at it here, one of the clubs that you almost joined, Mark, Hearts, they've got possibly the tie of the round, Roughie, against Aberdeen?
Yeah, I would say that is the tie of the round, there's no doubt. And it'll be a great game, it'll be a great atmosphere. We know what like it is at Tynecastle with a full house. And Aberdeen beginning to get back on track. We'll go down there thinking they can get that one, but I think they might have to go for a replay.
Yeah. Do you think we've been hyping them up too much, these 2 teams, and asking too much of them, Mark, to try and challenge Celtic?
No, I don't think so. I think that they're entitled, given the results they've had and the consistency of the performance, to think that they can run Celtic close. Celtic are always going to have an advantage. You know, they have funds and they have resources that outweigh either Aberdeen or Hearts, and I think that Hearts and Aberdeen in particular over the last couple of seasons have done unbelievably well to stay as close to them as they have done. But you know, inevitably, you know, Celtic's resources, you know, allow them to pull away and, you know, secure the championship. I still don't think that any of us can win it over Celtic, but I think they deserve a huge amount of credit for running them as close as they are.
Okay, we'll have more from Mark McGhee on Motherwell. We're going to talk Rangers in the next part of the programme, as well as John Hughes, and of course it's a precarious job being a manager. Paul Sturrock will talk about his sacking at Yeovil. Alan Rough is alongside me. Peter Martin and the Motherwell manager stays with us next. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's football show. The Motherwell manager Mark McGhee is our boot-room guest. Delighted to have him on to talk all things Motherwell and of course Scottish football as well. We will put that draw for the Scottish Cup 4th round back up before the end of the programme, just to give you a look at it. But Hearts Aberdeen, certainly one of the ties of the round. As far as the others are concerned, everybody always seems to make a big issue, Roughie, of Celtic and Rangers being kept apart. Rangers, Cowdenbeath or Arbroath, and Celtic with a trip to Stranraer.
I don't think either of the two. I mean, obviously when you're away from home, as Mark said, you know, expect to get it a wee bit harder, but you would think with Celtic's resources they'd be able to do that one. Rangers at home against Cowdenbeath. I think as far as Cowdenbeath and Arbroath are concerned, it's all about the money, you know, particularly with the game being at Ibrox. The gate money of them could keep them going for a while. Yep, and your old side, the High Bees, are off to Starks Park against Raith Rovers. Yeah, it could be a tough one. Raith Rovers are doing particularly well in the league just now, but Hibs will know they'll be in a tie up there, and I would think Hibs might win that one.
Yeah, okay, there you are, a balanced view from Roughie on any team he's ever played for. He's never gone against them. 9th and 10th of January for those ties. I always like to see managers kept in jobs and extending their stay. John Hughes till 2018. Yes,
I think John had looked as if from the outside, looked as if he wanted a change, looked as if Dundee United were possibly going to take him, and I think that was a move maybe he wanted at the time, but obviously it never happened, and he's obviously, Mark will know better than me what you've got to do once that scenario happens. You've got to reassess where you want to be, and I think he's had a great time up at Inverness. I think the people up there look as if they like him up there, so if he's happy in signing another 2 years, then I'm sure he'll do well.
Yep, well, he's staying till 2018. I always find sometimes with managers, you'll know only too well yourself, if you get the bar so high, you wonder how far you can take it beyond that again. I think that was the real concern for a lot of people looking at John Hughes' predicament, Mark.
Yeah, but I think that you know, he'll believe that there are cup finals out there for them. You know, I think he's done brilliantly. And it's one of these, it seems to be one of these clubs, like when Terry Butcher was there, it looked like Terry Butcher would never leave, that he just loved it up there, you know, so it seems to be a really good club to work for. It seems to, you know, from the supporters' point of view, from where, you know, living up there, from the management of the club, the executive of the club, so it's obviously a good place to work because people want to stay there. So, you know, I think it's great news for them, and I think John will go on and continue to make them very competitive.
Yeah, we're delighted to see you back in management. Will you still continue the Scotland role now that you've got your teeth into this job?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, there's not competitive football now till next spring, or next late summer. So, you know, I have time to, you know, really get into this before, you know, I'm taken away for a week or 10 days with the Scotland, you know, position. So, no, I'll look forward to getting back involved with Gordon and the rest of the lads in that, but it's not for some time.
Yeah, and can I ask you, when we usually do have international breaks, everybody then goes into meltdown on how to solve the problems of Scottish football. Do you think we need dramatic surgery the way it's been reported, and we're guilty of it ourselves, trying to analyse what we're missing, what we need?
From the point of view of the structure of the game, or from the point of view of the structure of the league?
Well, I think that, and of course the fact that a lot of people have been slaughtering the structure of how the kids come through. I mean, yeah, we're on the verge of, actually, I think Gordon was opening you know, the next phase of the training facilities, yeah, that Scotland will have and young kids will have in Edinburgh.
Well, I think that clearly what we all feel is that whatever's happening at the moment isn't producing enough good young players that are ending up playing in Scotland and are playing in the national team. So I think everyone's looking at that. But I mean, I'm looking at all sorts of things at the moment that we can do at Motherwell, and I know that we're doing a fantastic job at Motherwell, and I know that in other clubs it's the same. So there's something more than the coaching and the environment they're working in. There's a lot to do with numbers, the numbers that boys that are coming through, the amount of football they're getting to play. I think we all feel, certainly at national level, that the boys need to be playing actually just more football rather than more training. Rather than more sort of technical training, they need to be playing more games. Just more match awareness.
Are you a manager that would look? Do you consider yourself a manager that thinks, okay, I want to try and entertain and win? Win is the key to it all. But are you a manager that would say to a player, okay, you've got those abilities, go out and show them, go and enjoy yourself, go rather than the criticism that some people have been making, saying, managers are coaching the skill out of players?
I don't believe that managers coaching the skill out of players. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on managers. We talked about Paul Sturrock losing his job. John's extended his contract, but we're all under pressure for results. And sometimes you have to kind of cut corners in the sense that the result becomes the most important thing. But I think what we've all got to try and do is remember that probably the best way to getting results is with entertaining football. The two go together. If you play well, you usually get results. More basic than that, you're usually up against the wall and you end up losing games and don't get results. So I think the two go hand in hand. Entertaining football produces results. So we want to produce players who can play entertaining football, but it has to be winning football, and I think the two are possible. That's certainly our mission at Motherwell, is to produce young players who are competitive, who will be aggressive in all sorts of ways. I'm not talking about punching people, I'm talking about to the ball, they're aggressive in passing, aggressive controlling the ball, all these sort of things, but are entertaining at the same time, that play joined up football. So we've got to produce players that can do that, both from a point of view of their individual strengths and their individual ability, but also in the way they fit together as a team. So that's what we've got to do, is just produce better players and therefore better teams that end up in this national team.
No, I was just going to say, Mark, about just to get back on the Scotland thing there. Do you think it'd be more beneficial if we're under 17s and we're under 19s could start qualifying for big tournaments and getting it to a better level? Because you look at Iceland, who have been good at under 17, be good at under 19, and look at the success they've got.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, but then that's about the quality of the players. It's not about some other magical formula that sits outside of the actual reality of how good the players are. They're doing that because they have good players. We need to have good players in order to be doing better under 17, under 19. So it starts there. It starts with producing players that are good enough to go and compete with even the likes of Iceland, who have done so well. Of course, we're all looking at the likes of models like that and seeing what they're doing that we're not doing, that we could do better, and hoping to learn from it. But I think all of us, have a responsibility to, continue to work hard. And there's a huge amount of good work that's done in Scotland in order to try and make that change. And I know that the thinking that's going on at the moment from Brian McClare, down, in terms of the youth and all that, with Gordon and his input, they're trying to bring some change that will be positive. And I think we have brilliant people all over the country who can implement that and can definitely raise the standard in the national game.
Okay, just out of curiosity and very briefly, would you like the league extended to 16?
I don't know if 16 is the right number, but I would like it looked at. I would like to know that we're getting the absolute maximum out of I mean, a Premier League without Rangers and Hibs, is for me is ludicrous. Those teams should be in it. Anyone else that can win their way in there, of course, they have some right to be in it. But I think what we should have is some sort of audit and say what is the best formula for us, and put that in place, because there are other things we could be doing.
Yeah, okay. Rangers are in action tonight against Dumbarton. Roughie, this is a chance to get 3 points ahead of Hibernian in a fantastic race in the championship.
Yeah, it's definitely a one they want to win. Obviously Hibs have done particularly well, but Rangers at home, they'll be fired up for it. They'll know what's at stake. stake, and there's a big Hibs game coming up in 2 or 3 weeks, so it's definitely one they need to win.
Yep, and no surprise the story that broke late yesterday on the Liquidators BDO. As we discussed on this programme last week, we expected them to appeal the EBT decision in favour of HMRC, so it's got a long way to run, Roughie.
Yeah, it certainly has, and we've spoke about it on numerous occasions. It's something that I'm sure Mark would agree the manager and the players don't want to be dealing with, so as long as we can keep it as far away for the players as possible, especially with the run-in coming up, all the better.
Yep. We're talking about managers who lose their job, and we never really like to see it. Paul Sturrock's lost his at Yeovil. Neil Lennon's under a fair bit of pressure now as well, Mark. It's amazing, you know, when suddenly an owner decides that's enough, I've put enough money in, the game's up.
Well, I mean, I'm not really au fait completely with Paul's situation, you know, but Paul's a good manager. Yeah. We all know that. You know, he's proven. And he's lost his job. It happens, you know, and I'm sure, you know, Paul will reconsider things and go on or not. Neil's a totally different kettle of fish. You know, he's at a club where their debt and all of that is catastrophic, and really it's not only handcuffing them, but it's tying, gagging them, and handcuffing and tying them to the chair. Yeah. I mean, he's really got a difficult job on there, and it's no surprise they are where they are.
Yeah, maybe not the best way to describe that picture. You're getting Roughie excited there, just as we end the programme on that line. Thanks very much to Mark McGhee. Thanks, John.